Today we're going to do a deep dive on self-talk, what it is, how to use it, and how it can help make you a better leader. I have used self-talk in a variety of settings, from teaching to training, mentoring, and even parenting. Hi, my name is Todd Hendricks, and I'm a former teacher and administrator in public education, as well as a ministry leader. I help struggling leaders learn the skills they need in order to be effective and respected in whatever role they're in. The first time I used self-talk was when I was a teacher. I was teaching 6th grade and I used it mostly in math class. And this is exactly how it would go. I would tell the students, look, I'm going to do a problem on the board and I want your paper to look exactly like my board does. So whatever I write down, you write down and you do it while I'm doing it. And I'm going to talk you through whatever it is that we're going to do. So as I would start writing the problem on the board, I would then explain why I was writing what I was writing. And then I would talk about the relationship between the numbers and the operations that I was doing. And then by the time we were done, the students had a perfect example on their papers and it matched what I had on my board. The reason that I did it this way was I wanted them to hear my inner thoughts. I wanted them to hear the correct way to reason through this problem. They're going to have their own ideas and they might be wrong. So I want them to hear it the correct way the first time, every time. So as I would do the problem, I would talk about everything that I was doing. Okay, I'm going to cross out this number here and I'm going to carry my 1. And the reason that I'm carrying my 1 is because I have to regroup from this number over here. And I would explain every detail. And sometimes I'd stop and turn around and look at them and say, okay, you guys following with me? Excellent. So let's move on to the next step. As I would progress through each step, I would stop and check and make sure everybody was on board, everybody was where I was at, and they all had their papers looking exactly like my board. This was extremely important because then when they were doing their independent work, they had a perfect example already in front of them and one that they had done with me. So when questions would arise about, oh, well, I'm not sure what I'm doing on this step right here, I would go back and say, okay, which step are you having problems with? And they were able to identify, oh, it's step number 2 where I have to carry the number. I'm not sure where I'm carrying the number at. So that was able to help me identify what problems they were having. I can guarantee just about everybody watching this has experienced self-talk in a relaxing way while watching TV and you enjoyed it. Are you ready? The Food Network. The Food Network is a network based on self-talk. You get invited into the kitchen of a chef and they have all their ingredients laid out for you and they start cooking, and while they're cooking they tell you what the garlic does with the onion while you saute it in the oil and how it brings out the flavor of the meat and all these other things. They're self-talking the entire time, and we as consumers spend hours and hours watching these chefs self-talk us through a recipe. Not only do they self-talk us through the recipe, but once we're done watching the show, and many of us take notes while we're watching the show, we're like, oh, I can totally do that, and I can replicate exactly what they're doing. And that's the power of self-talk. You get the mind of the master laid out before you so that you can experience it and become like the master in that way. So when you're looking at cooking shows or training your employees or mentoring or even parenting your children, allowing people to hear what's going on in your head is really, really important, because if you're a leader and you're training, mentoring, guiding somebody through this process, you're really the best one at it. And that's why you're in the position that you're in. So who better to teach somebody else who's coming up than the best one at it? And that's you. So when you're self-talking, don't just do it in here, do it verbally so that the people that you're around and working with can hear it and learn from it. And that's the power of self-talk. The people who need the information are getting it from the expert, and you are the expert. Another example of self-talk is sports. Think about any sport you've ever participated in where you had a coach. What does that coach do? They don't just say, oh yeah, go chase that ball. No, they tell you why to chase the ball, or what person has the ball that you're supposed to chase, or whatever. Now, think about what they're doing. They're not only telling you what to do, but they're telling you how to do it. And when they're telling you how to do it, they're telling you why to do it. And they're telling you why to do it because the why is just as important as the how, is just as important as the what you're going to go do. So I know that was kind of a convoluted way to say that, but as your coach is explaining things to you, they're not only telling you what to do, but they're telling you the why behind it. And if you've heard any of my other videos, you know the why is a big thing in my world. Why something gets done is very important, sometimes just as important as what gets done itself. So when you're thinking about self-talk, think about, why am I explaining this to this person? What insights do they need that I have that they don't know yet? And that's going to be a big part of self-talk and what makes it very, very effective for your business or your organization. Think about the business and organizational applications of self-talk. Think about the millions and millions of dollars that we as consumers spend to go to seminars to listen to Tony Robbins or Myron Golden or Elon Musk give a seminar about something. Why do we do that? We do that because we want to hear the mind of the expert. We want to hear the insights that they have. So think about you as an expert and leader in whatever field of business or organization you're in, and think about how that applies to your employees, your direct reports, the people in your organization. If you're the expert and you have somebody asking you a question or trying to do something that they're not very good at, wow, if you could just give them your insights, that could be huge for them. Not only could it be huge for them, it could be huge for you, because then you multiply yourself into somebody else. And that is very, very powerful for whatever business or organization you're involved in, because you don't want to hire somebody who's just going to come along and do the job their way. No, you're the expert, you're the leader. You want them to do the job the way that you want it done because you've built the business, you run the organization. You probably know the best way to do it. Now, are they going to have some good ideas here and there? Absolutely. But when they're first starting out and you're training them, you want them to do it the way that you have done it because you've built that system. So don't underestimate the power of self-talk. Just talk through a problem. Say, hey, Jim, come here. Let me show you something real quick. So here's what I was thinking. When I did it this way before, it would be X, Y, and Z. And then we're going to try X, Y, and Z again because it was effective and this is what we did and it worked out great. So do you have any thoughts about that? No, Todd, I think that's going to be great. Okay, well, let's do it that way first. And then if something comes up, come let me know and we'll address it. Self-talk is a huge, powerful way for you to multiply yourself and give insights to people who don't really know what they're doing. And that's okay because we have to train them. But this is a really great way to train them. We give them our mind, our insights, and they come up doing it the right way, the first way from the start. So if you're a leader who's struggling and needs to learn some skills to help you become effective and respective in whatever role that you're in, please reach out to me. I'd love to have a conversation to see where I can help.